If you're busy but refuse to compromise on healthy, flavorful food, these 4 sunflower seed pestos are about to change your meal prep game. They take minutes to make and instantly transform into a creamy veggie dip, a vibrant bread spread, a lightning fast pasta sauce, or a high protein flavor booster. I'm Shrikant Singh and welcome to our channel. Happy Bellyfish. Now, honestly, pestos are quite easy to make and they solve the basic problem that most of us urban people have. The time that we need to cook and eat healthy every single day. And while every pesto recipe that I'm going to show today is more or less vegan, they do not have to be. You can easily add some cheese and alter their flavor and their nutritional value. So ditch the store-bought pestos now and let's get started. The sunflower seeds I'll be using today are hulled and unsalted, and we'll be using all the shortcuts available to make our life easy, which means I'm going to use olives and sun-dried tomatoes that I bought from the store. I'm not going to grow them myself, but these are good quality ones and no thickeners, artificial flavors or colors have been used here, and that's a very important thing. It makes a huge difference to how the final outcome will taste, and it keeps the recipe as healthy as possible. In 3 out of the 4 recipes today, I'll be using toasted sunflower seeds. I'm calling it toasting, but the seeds need to be just warmed lightly and not browned or burnt. We do not want to lose all the fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin E and B vitamins, which is what you're eating the sunflower seeds for in the first place. So do not crisp them. Keep the heat low and you will be fine. Do it in small batches and that will make the job much more easier and more manageable. Okay, so the first recipe is always a classic in my kitchen, and it's sunflower seed and basil pesto. Most pesto recipes will start with this because it's so easy to make. Apart from sunflower seeds, the other main ingredient here is fresh basil leaves. But before you use them, soak them in water for about 5 minutes and then rinse them gently. Now we have to dry these leaves, and for that I'm going to use a salad spinner to remove all the excess water. This is a very important step, and if you do not have a salad spinner, just tap them dry with a clean kitchen towel or lay them on a flat dry surface for some time. We want to reduce the moisture to the best extent possible, and this way you can store the pesto for a longer period of time and it will also taste better. Also, once dried, break the leaves of the stem. You can actually use these to grow your own basil plant. I'm not a gardener, but if you are one, then leave your tips in the comments to help others in the community. Add just about half a cup of toasted sunflower seeds into the food processor. Give it a short grind a couple of times. We do not want to turn this into a fine flour, and it still needs to remain coarse. Normally pine nuts would be used for this recipe, but they're super expensive and good ones are hard to find. Sunflower seeds are their best and cheapest replacements. Now add coarsely chopped garlic to this and the fresh basil leaves. Push the leaves down so that they are tightly packed into the jar, just like you pack your suitcase for your holidays. To balance out the bitterness and give it some zest, add a dash of fresh lemon juice and salt to taste and to lift the flavor. The final ingredient here is half a cup of extra virgin olive oil. Your best alternative here would be avocado oil. With everything in, pulse the blender a few times so that the ingredients come together, and then give the blades a longer run. And this is the consistency that I'm looking for. You might want to make it smoother, but I prefer to bite into some of the seeds and basil leaves. Now, one advantage of keeping it coarse is that it helps me chew the food slower and I take much more longer to eat my food, and that keeps me full for longer. This can be stored very easily into a mason jar and it will last in the refrigerator for about 5 days easily unless you finish it first. You can use this as a dip, eat it with steamed or stir-fried vegetables and protein, or make a pasta, which is again the most cliche thing to do with all pestos. And all you have to do here is take some cooked pasta or spaghetti and add a generous amount of this basil sunflower seed pesto. Add some warm water, or better still, the starchy water in which the pasta was cooked, and mix it thoroughly. I'm not heating the pesto here because I want to keep its nutrients intact to the best extent possible, though you can totally heat it in olive oil if you prefer. Plate your pasta with some fresh basil or arugula if you have them, some red capsicum, tomatoes, and some feta cheese. You can also add some stir-fried chicken breast, boiled eggs, or any meaningful protein to make it a complete meal that you can spin out in no time. You can pack it for your lunch overnight, warm it up in a microwave at work, and you suddenly realize eating healthy is after all not as hard or time consuming as it seems. This pesto and all the pestos that I'm going to show today also doubles down as a dip. Sometimes I add some feta or cream cheese to this, or even grate some parmesan when I want to feel a little rich, and serve it with not chips but with carrots or with red capsicum. Now I know all creators keep asking you to subscribe and like, but without your support, we can't do anything. So please press the right buttons on this pesto video. There are also other ways to support our channel. You can buy our merchandise or our ebooks. The links are in the description, which will take you to our Shopify store, and your support helps me keep bringing you these healthy recipes and hacks all the time. Alright, moving on to the next recipe, which is olives and sunflower seed pesto. So for this recipe, I'm going to use Kalamata olives that are preserved in brine. These olives come from Kalamata in Greece, hence the name. So once again, we'll break the toasted sunflower seeds first. Now remember, if you want a smoother texture for these pestos, just blend them fine at this stage. To this, we will add Kalamata olives. Now this would be too bland on its own, so add a small amount of freshly ground black pepper and some chili flakes. And the ingredient that binds them all together is freshly squeezed lemon juice. Don't end up drowning it in lemon juice, otherwise it will become a lemon juice pesto. And finally add 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. I'm not going to add any salt until the pesto is completely ready, because remember, the olives were preserved in brine. Blend this all together, and in between you might have to scrape down the seeds that are conveniently hiding under the blades, and then blend it again. Once done, taste the pesto to see if you need to add lemon juice or salt, and adjust accordingly. The color of the pesto will change depending on the type of olives you're using. You can also use green olives, but avoid those black olives that are used as toppings on cheap pizzas or sandwiches, because they taste like nothing. If you notice, there's no water added here, which will enhance the shelf life even further. Now this works really well on poached eggs, omelets, or just to make simple bruschetta with sourdough bread. I'm going to toast this sourdough bread slices on a pan with a tiny amount of olive oil, and this will soften it inside and make it crispy on the outside. Add a generous amount of pesto on the top and spread it evenly. Now you can choose to garnish it with some freshly chopped tomatoes and onions if you're keen on letting everybody know what you had for breakfast, and some fresh herbs too. It will always look beautiful and inviting and give it a fresh appeal. When you store this pesto in the refrigerator, it will thicken over time. So to loosen it up, you can either mix it with a little more olive oil or a very small amount of warm water. And if you want it to be more tarty, you can even use lemon juice to adjust the consistency. Now moving on to the third recipe, which is creamy garlic dill pesto. And here we will not be using toasted sunflower seeds. Instead, we will soak the sunflower seeds in water for at least 4 hours. Now, if you want to speed it up, just add the seeds to hot water and set them aside for 10 minutes and they will be ready to use. Now, the good thing about this pesto is that it tastes a lot like toum, this Lebanese garlicky sauce, and it can very easily replace unhealthy mayonnaise or heavy garlic sauces. So after the sunflower seeds are soaked and ready, drain the water and rinse them once before adding them to the blender. I'm using dried dill instead of fresh dill today because it tastes more intense and you can pack more flavor into the same volume. To start, I'm adding just about half a teaspoon of dried dill and a generous amount of roughly chopped garlic. Add a tablespoon of lemon juice and salt to taste. So I'm going to add about a quarter cup of water to this and about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Now we'll blend this into a very fine creamy texture, as fine as possible. At the time of bottling this, you can add some more of this dried dill and then mix it. This will give it some texture and also give it an appealing look. I'm going to use this as a creamy base for prawns or shrimp, and honestly, even I was surprised with how amazing the outcome was. Making it is very easy. All you need here are some prawns. I got this peeled frozen prawn from the supermarket, which makes life super easy. All I had to do was add them to boiling water and cook them for around 3 to 4 minutes. When these turn slightly pink, then they are ready. They need to be cooked, yet it must remain tender, so avoid overcooking them. To prepare the base with this sunflower seed dill pesto, take some of the pesto and add very small amount of warm water to thin it out a bit. Once the sauce is ready, add the cooked prawns and mix it nicely. To finish, garnish it with some fresh dill leaves, and optionally, if you want an extra flavor boost, add some black pepper and chili flakes. It's as simple as it gets, and it takes no time at all to make a delicious prawns dish. You can actually eat it cold or warm it slightly at the time of serving, but personally I felt the cold one tasted the best. Now the last recipe is sun-dried tomato and sunflower seed pesto, and I kept this one for the end because it involves a bit of cooking, but that's also optional. We'll begin by heating a saucepan and adding a tiny amount of olive oil to it. Add about a tablespoon of chopped garlic and saute it for just about a minute. You don't want to brown or burn the garlic here, so cook it on medium heat. Now add around a cup of tomato puree to the pan, and this tomato puree or passata contains no added sugar, salt or vinegar. This is important, otherwise it will ruin your pesto. Alternatively, you can cook some ripe tomato slices along with garlic. If you don't have passata, then puree it yourself. The tomato puree needs to be reduced and thickened, and to give this pesto a spicy kick, I'm also adding some mild chili powder, which will also enhance the deep red color. Once the sauce has thickened, remove it from the flame and allow it to cool down completely. Now take your food processor and add your toasted sunflower seeds to the blender jar. To this, add a generous amount of sun-dried tomatoes. Now these sun-dried tomatoes, they are preserved in oil, and this particular jar that I'm using, it contains paprika, garlic, some herbs and sun-dried tomatoes along with extra virgin olive oil. Now add the cooked and cooled tomato puree. This will add the main bulk to the pesto, and add 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and blend it into a coarse consistency. If you have to thin this particular pesto when you are taking it out of the refrigerator, then use lemon juice or olive oil instead of water, and this way it will actually not lose its rich flavor. This goes really well with tofu, one of my most favorite foods to have. I have some firm tofu here that I'm going to cut into small cubes first. We are going to shallow fry this tofu until the surface is slightly golden. Remember to flip them a couple of times so that they are evenly cooked. And if you notice, I have not marinated or seasoned the tofu at all. They are completely plain. And if you add this pesto to that tofu without cooking it or even cooking it, then it will make it even more enjoyable. Remove the fried tofu into a bowl and add a few tablespoons of this sun-dried tomato pesto. Now you can use olive oil here to loosen the paste a little bit, but I'm going to add a dash of lemon to help it mix and also enhance the flavor even more. You can combine this with your grains and add some extra virgin olive oil on the top. The grain that I'm using here is quinoa, and you can accompany this with a salad or fresh cucumber, and your meal is ready in no time. Now you don't have to make all of these at the same time, but keeping just one flavor ready every week will stop you from reaching for instant meals or food delivery apps. And once you get the hang of the basic recipes I've shown you today, you will start getting very creative in how you combine these pestos with everything else that you have already been eating. Let me know in the comments which flavor turned out to be your favorite, and I will see you soon in the next video.